Hey guys, it's Drummond. So today's video, I decided I wanted to talk about abusive relationships. Because I have actually been in one, I feel like a lot of people don't fully understand why someone would stay in an abusive relationship, and I'm going to try to shed some light on that. Because even now, looking back, I'm just like, why did I do that to myself? And it took a lot of deep thought, and this is kind of what I came up with. So when I was dating my first boyfriend, he was my first. When it came to sexual stuff with me, I only wanted to be with one person, and I ended up giving up my virginity with him, and I did not want to leave him and go to someone else. At that time, I kind of had this mindset of if I slept with anybody else, I would really be considered slutty, and I really wanted to be one of those people that said, I found it on the first try and I've only had sex with one person. Looking back, that's a stupid reason to stay with someone, and if there's anyone out there that is staying with someone just because of that, just know that there are plenty of other good people out there and it doesn't make you a slut. I remember there was actually times where I slept with something pressed up against the bedroom door so that he couldn't get in there. And no matter how many times I tried to get out of that relationship, I just kept falling back into it. I fell back into it because we had the same group of friends. After I moved states for him, I didn't really have my own set of friends. I only had his friends, and I didn't feel like I could trust them. I actually talked to a lot of my friends on Facebook, and it got to the point where he was actually very controlling of that as well. He had to have my password for all my social medias, and if he ever saw a hint of me talking poorly about him, he would snap, and it would become another instance of abuse. There was actually several times where I had bruises and things like that on my body, and I made excuses so that my friends and family didn't know what was happening. I know there was one time where I hit my head after he pushed me, and I ended up scratching right above my eye. And then my sister's graduation was right around the corner, and everyone was asking me what happened. And I told them that I was bending down to pick something up and actually hit it on the counter, when that most definitely was not true. I feel like another reason why I stayed with him so long was because as a gay person, when I came out, my dad was not super accepting of it, so I felt like I really had no place else to go. So I felt like I was kind of trapped with him, because I did move to West Virginia to be with him because my dad wasn't comfortable with me being gay. So when it came to getting away from that situation, I really didn't have a lot of choices. I stayed with a few friends sometimes, and it got to the point, because I was younger, their parents really couldn't support another child living in their house. So it got to the point where they were telling me that I needed to make a decision, and in my head, the decision to go home was not a choice, and the only really choice I had was the boyfriend that wanted me to move back. And even though he was abusive, it was a place that I could stay, so I ended up moving back with him. There's actually one time where his ex, who had also been in the relationship with him that was very abusive, came and got me and drove me all the way back to Virginia to stay with my friends, and he told me never to come back to West Virginia. It didn't take too long before my ex was calling me and apologizing and telling me he would never do it again and asking me to move back. So I ended up moving back to West Virginia with him right before I had to move back to Virginia to go back to school. So at that point, he had actually dropped out of college, and I let him come move in with me at the dorms. And at that point, it was kind of a mind control game, and it's something that you don't ever want to get yourself into. You really need to dig down deep and realize that everything that you need is inside of you, and you don't need it from someone else. But he played the mind control games like crazy. He played me against my friends. He played me against my family. He made it seem like I had to choose him or my family, and he just told me all the things that he's done for me, and he would point out all the things that my friends didn't do. A lot of times it came to my friends not really being comfortable being around him, so my friends kind of faded away. He would also make me feel like a bad person when I hung out with my sister instead of him, so the time I hung out with my sister in college slowly started fading away as well, until I was kind of basically alone with him and didn't really have any other friends to lean on. There are so many instances where I honestly feared for my life. There was one time when he was there for fall break and all my friends had left, but because he was there, I didn't feel like I could go home for fall break, so I ended up staying on campus, and we stayed together. We'd actually gone on a hike and we were estimating how long the hike was. He got upset and I had told him it was probably around 2 miles, which it ended up being a little bit longer. He actually drove his car along the trail and clocked it to be almost 5 miles, which walking you can't really tell the difference between 2 and 5 miles if you don't really hike on a regular basis. But he got really angry and was screaming at me. I tried leaving the room. I was walking down the flight of steps and he ended up grabbing me and pushing me down the steps. Thankfully, the dorm that I lived in had card key swipes, so to get back in the building you have to swipe the card. He actually left and I wouldn't let him back in the building. But there have been so many other times where I was very scared. I told you guys about one story when Trey was there and he actually came and helped me out and got my boyfriend off of me when he was strangling me. But there were so many times where physical violence got way too hard, and honestly, when it comes to relationships, I believe physical violence should never be used. I think you should always be able to talk things out, and if you're not in the mood to talk things out, I feel like you should probably put some space between you. There are plenty of times after that when I had broken up with him and boys that I had talked to, anytime where I saw that they were upset, I was just like scared to death, and I was just like, stay on that side of the room. I don't want you on this side of the room. Stay away from me. Just because I was so used to that first relationship getting violent as soon as we had a disagreement. Thankfully, the relationship I'm in now is nothing like that, and we are really good at communicating when we have our differences. And thankfully, violence has never been in our relationship, so I'm very thankful for that. But I just want to put this video out there for any of you who are experiencing violence, whether it's physical or mental violence in your relationship. Just know that you do have the option to leave. And even if you feel like there's nowhere else for you to go, there are plenty other places. There's homeless shelters. Believe me, they are way better to go there than dealing with abuse. And there's friends, families. Just ask, put yourself out there, because there are going to be a lot more people out there willing to help you out and help you get out of that situation than you think. Don't let your significant other that's abusing you make you feel like you're alone, because you're not. So I hope this video was very informative for you guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and if you've got any friends that you think this video could help, make sure you share it to them. Leave some comments in the comment section below, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.